It's a special edition of Sun Devil Extras. We're here in Tempe. Braiden Bell joined alongside the Arizona State volleyball coach J.J. Van Niel. And great news to announce today. Coach Van Niel signed an extension to stay here in Tempe, to keep him in Tempe through the year 2029. First off, Coach, congratulations.
Thanks, Braiden. Appreciate it.
So very exciting news, and I know the success you've had in your first 2 years here have really kind of caused sound waves around the program and around the campus as well. What really led you to wanting to stay here?
I think it comes down to, I love it here. I feel like this is a platform where we can build what my vision is for building the volleyball program here. And of course, Graham is behind it and has been really, really supportive. So, I mean, that's a huge deal. I think especially in the coming changes with the NCAA and all the craziness that's going on,
Sure.
Having a administration that understands your vision for the program and there's an alignment there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this is just an awesome place to be, so I'm excited.
You mentioned that vision.
Yeah.
Take us behind that. What is that vision that you have? And through the first 2 years, 58 and 10 overall, clearly you're on the right track, I would say.
Yeah, we've had a couple nice years. I'm very fortunate for that. I think if you look back at the very first press conference, I might have given Nebraska an example of, hey, out in Nebraska, they get 8,000 people in every match, every season. And to me, that should be the standard.
Yeah.
And I understand that'll take time, but I'm really grateful for our fans, our students, all the support we've had so far. Last year we had, I think, 6 matches, over 4,000 fans.
Yeah.
We broke, I think, just about every record last year when it comes to overall attendance, revenue, all the stuff that I think also administration likes to see. But playing in front of big crowds is helpful, I think, for your student athletes. It gives you a true home court advantage. And in my mind, part of the success of a program is like, what is that in-game experience? How many people are there? What are you drawing? And a community that surrounds it, I think, is a really big deal. And that's a huge part of the vision.
In terms of the growth you guys have had, I'm curious in terms of recruiting. I know you want to make ASU kind of that spot, like you said, grow the brand of Arizona State volleyball. The crowd sizes, that shows that it's growing. Hosting in the NCAA tournament last year, that shows the record overall, like we said. But in terms of when you're talking to recruits, either in the transfer portal or high school recruits as well, what is the response you've seen over the past couple of years? Say your first talks with recruits up to now, and how that image is kind of changing.
Yeah, I think we're obviously much more on the map.
Mm-hmm.
When I walked in the door, the initial portal was kind of done. There's a couple kids that I was talking to. Shania was one of them that I was able to snag. Obviously, Mary Schroll was a big time get. But for the most part, there wasn't much action in the portal. And so that summer, we're recruiting like 2025s. And I mean, of course, you have your lists and you're going down, and it was really difficult getting any interest, just given how the program had been. It doesn't matter. And obviously I walked in the door and I don't have a head coaching history, so it's not like we could point to like, hey, you're going to do well. But after last year's success, I think it really helped in our first portal. We were able to get Arj and Savannah and Bailey, and this year's portal was very helpful. I mean, not that we got everyone we talked to, that of course would never happen.
Sure.
But I think the conversations that you get in the mix on have definitely been different than a couple years ago. And this year we'll be recruiting the 2027 class, so it'll be really interesting to see this summer. But I think we really have put ourselves on the map. We're going to open next season in an event that's put on by Fox Sports, and it was an invite event, so I'm really excited. They invited us. We're going to open the season playing Pittsburgh and Penn State, so into the fire.
Marquee matchups.
Yeah, it'll be good.
I'm curious also in terms of your roster construction, because your senior class last year was historic for this program. You mentioned some of their names in your last answer. You had to kind of rebuild this roster, and like you said, a lot of success in terms of nabbing people out of the portal, and I know there's some exciting names that were already in the program as well, but in terms of rebuilding, or reloading, I guess would be the word we're looking for, coming into 2025, what do you have in terms of the roster for this upcoming year?
Yeah, really excited about being able to fill in our roster. We had 16 and we lost 8, and it was a massive 8, our whole starting lineup, right? And you know, the advantage of the portal is that you, hopefully, if you can get the right pieces, you know, maybe won't drop off too much, you know, from next year. I mean, I have no idea how we'll do, but we got an outside hitter in Tatum Parrott, who's a local kid, which I'm really excited about. She was at Grand Canyon. We were in a fight with Oregon to get her. We have 2 kids from Oregon. You know, their coach left, and a lot of kids left that roster, but an opposite, Noemi Glover. Colby Niel, Jillian's sister, you know, really physical. We got them. We got Faith Frame, who was a libero at Cincinnati, has joined. We have some freshmen that have come two that came early, one that's from Brazil, which are really exciting. And we got Zoe from Kansas, and then Ella Lamagora from Long Beach State. So I feel like we've done a really nice job of adding some really nice pieces to our roster. This spring's been really fun because it's right now we have 17 people in the gym, which is just, you don't normally have that. So it's been very competitive. It's been really, really fun, to be honest, in there, and the kids are getting a lot better. It's a very different team because it's a very young team. So last year was like very, very veteran, and you had the COVID carryover.
Sure.
So you had a bunch of kids that were like even older than a normal student, like someone like Schroll, who turned 24, I think, during the season. So we call her grandma. But that team was really old, and this team's like very young. So there's new challenges, but there's a lot of vibrancy and excitement, you know, with that. And I think our leaders doing a really good job. With that, Bryn, Estella, and Bailey are on a leadership group. They're doing a phenomenal job. But the gym's been really fun to be in. And like tomorrow, we actually scrimmage. Arizona, we're doing a spring scrimmage here, and I'm pretty excited to just see what it looks like, you know. So yeah.
In terms of, you mentioned the youth now on this roster as opposed to maybe one of the more experienced teams in the entire country a year ago. Does that change the way you coach at all? Yeah, it for sure has. It also makes me feel like I maybe screwed some stuff up in how I approached last spring. You know, I'm always self-evaluating and thinking of ways to be better. Sure. I think we talk a lot about being intentional in our training, and I think with this young group, like, we're even more intentional. I think when you have veterans, you can maybe loosen some stuff. And I look back and I'm wondering if I loosened some standards too much. I don't know. But I think you have that. I think there's been another reinvestment in just making sure I'm trying to do as much as possible to get to know the kids, because with last year's group, there were so many veterans and people that have just been around a while. Like, I had pretty good relationships with them already, know them well, like, don't need to take them out to extra coffees because, you know, I mean, Jelly's been around since I walked in the door, and Claire's been around since I walked in the door, and Rob. So I think that piece has been a little new, you know, and finding out how kids want to be coached. You know, at the end of the day, how I would coach you versus how I might coach Presley and Ellen on my staff or whoever is going to vary. And it's kind of one of the parts of coaching that I think is fun, is like, how can you connect with that kid, not just off the court, but like, how can you help them on the court the most? So really trying to dial in what we got to do there. That relationship building aspect of it, it's got to be one of the more rewarding parts of coaching. Rumor has it, a little birdie told us here at Sun Devil Extra, that you were out at the football fields watching football practice the other day, and kind of sat in with some meetings and got to know the football staff or how they operate. What were some of the things you picked up on watching spring ball with Kenny Dillingham and company? Yeah, man, it was really, really fun. There's so many things that I'm like, oh man, this is so similar to either how I would approach something or how I'm thinking about something. I think the biggest thing that I thought was really fun to see is you see Kenny's personality, like with him jumping around after winning games, and obviously I get to interact with him in head coaches meetings and on our threads, and his passion for ASU is just awesome. But then just to see, like, it's just nonstop. I don't know, Kenny, I don't know how you have that much energy, but like, I got there at 6:30, we met. He was unbelievably graceful. Like, I don't know football very well, and I got to watch film and just like ask him questions, which was fascinating to me. Wow. And I like going to other teams' practices just because it helps me think about how I teach or coach, and maybe I draw some stuff. But his energy is, I mean, it's almost intoxicating. Like, he's just
Like everywhere he's walking, he's hi to everybody. He's high-fiving his kids. He's talking smack to his kids, which is hysterical to me. And out on the field, I mean, after practice, like the guy was like dripping in sweat, and he had to go take a shower, you know, because he's running around. And but it was really fascinating experience, and I'll probably hit him up to go do it again.
Yeah, it sounded like it was a lot of fun then.
I had a blast, and it got me thinking. I mean, I had like 5 pages of notes. So.
That's great.
Yeah, it was really cool.
One more for you in terms of the culture around head coaches here, because you just obviously talked about Kenny, Molly Miller, new on campus, of course, and I know you probably have close relationships with several other head coaches, but it does seem like it is a pretty unique setup here right now with these head coaches. Obviously a bunch of former alums, but overall it just seems like everyone's pretty close. How special is that in terms of, you know, this athletic department as a whole with Graham at the top and the relationships around the athletic department?
Yeah, I think it makes it like fun to just come in and be around, you know. This morning took my team over. The women's golf has a tournament, you know, and they never get fans, right? Because it's kind of weird to watch the golf tournament. But Missy had reached out, and it wasn't just us. Like, there was a bunch of coaches there, a bunch of other student athletes, and we all watched them tee off, you know, on the 10th tee. And it's funny you said that because, like, I saw Greg. I haven't seen Greg for a while, and like, we're just shooting the breeze, like old buddies, you know, right away. And I just think it makes it a really comfortable environment, a collegial environment, and it's just fun to be around. You know, and you can ask questions. I mean, when I reached out to Kenny, like I reached out on Monday, I'm like, hey, I always try to go to other practices. You're one that I've never been to football. Like, do you mind?
Yeah.
He's like, dude, door's wide open. Like, come when you want. You know, I'm like, Thursday. He's like, great, you're in. And it was like, there wasn't even a hesitation, you know, and I think the openness, it helps everyone learn, it helps us all be better. And I was with Petra this afternoon, and that was fun, and I learned more about her story, and I just think it makes, you talked about this culture, right?
Yeah.
And it starts at the top. Graham's an alum, he's passionate, and when you have the passion coming down, you have the coaches with passion, like that's gonna go. I mean, ASU is awesome. Like, everyone knows, like right now it's awesome to be a Sun Devil, right? Like everyone is so passionate around here about ASU, it makes it fun. You're walking around, and I mean, I go recruiting them in other states, and like the amount of people that are just walking around like, go Devil, I mean, it's constant. And that's really cool. It's a testament to what, you know, Dr. Crow's built here with just this huge alumni network, and how he's really built ASU, and then to what Graham's building, you know, in our department. So it's fun.
Yeah. Culture is intoxicating, so is winning, and I know you've done a lot of that so far in your first 2 years, and luckily you're going to be here to stay through at least 2029. Congrats again on the extension. We're so happy for you, and continued success moving forward.
Thanks, appreciate it. Thanks.
We'll be back with more on Sun Devil Extra.